Allegedly, as of April 16, 2026, the United States President Donald Trump, he has announced a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Now, we know our ceasefire is ending pretty soon against Iran. Would that be extended? Can't tell you. But apparently, allegedly, more troops would be heading to the Middle East. We know the Strait of Hormuz is potentially still blocked by the U.S. Navy. I will be getting into an article about this ceasefire in a minute. But the situation with that going on in the Middle East, and for everybody around the world knows, because we've seen it and how the economy is reacting, especially with gas prices. I think there was a report that gas prices in Australia for diesel was $10 a gallon. Now, I don't think the gas reached $10 on diesel, premium, or whatever gas you take regular in the United States as of yet. Gas prices been dropping just a little bit, but it might continue to remain high through the November midterm elections, according to President Donald Trump. He recently said that. So we're just going to keep an eye on that. Now, China been slowly helping Iran. Now, we know the Russians been helping Iran since the war first started in the Middle East, when the United States attacked the all-girls school, well, allegedly attacked the all-girls elementary school and blamed it on Iran for doing it. And Iran was saying it was actually the United States. I guess they came up with enough evidence that it was a U.S. missile that was used. Recently, the United States basically turned their back on Ukraine, as is still currently fighting a war that was supposed to be done within 24 hours of President Donald Trump taking office. That started back in February of 2022, and it's April 16, 2026, and we're still dealing with this war across Europe. President Vladimir Putin, which is the Russian president, most likely is happy that the United States ain't sending weapons and ammunition up to Ukraine, basically leaving it up to Europe to deal with it. And we know President Donald Trump is not happy with our allies for the most part, due to the fact, or NATO in general, because they're not helping us with this war against Iran. Now, basically, I don't think the United States has a real reason why they went after Iran, attacked Iran, and potentially going to do a ground invasion on Iran. Now, maybe President Donald Trump thought he got away with going against, what was it, Venezuela earlier this year, taking their president and flying him out the country and his wife, just for them to plead not guilty. And as of April 16, 2026, they're still here in New York. Well, I'm not in New York, but it's still in the United States, in the state of New York, in jail. So you probably thought it would be the same situation. Now, the president of Venezuela, former president of Venezuela, now Nicolas Maduro, was given a thumbs up when he was captured. He was so calm. But something's telling me he probably knew the United States. Well, we all knew the United States was going to eventually go after Iran. But he was just not worried about it, because the United States had a bigger problem in their hands, especially we was attacking alleged drug boats that I don't think the United States had a legitimate proof or a lot of proof of. Recently, there's been more strikes on the Eastern Pacific side of U.S. strikes on alleged drug boats. Now, every news article that comes out about these strikes on these boats say alleged, because I think the news channels even know the United States probably don't have enough proof to prove that there's actually drugs on these boats. And there was a situation that if there was any survivors on these boats, you strike it again, if you all know the rest. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this article in just a minute. But I will say one thing. The United States really need to watch out, because Russia been helping the Iranians with this war. He's taking pictures of using satellites and giving it to Iran. Vladimir Zelensky said, but apparently the United States don't really care about what Zelensky said. He was recently called a liar by a U.S. official. But France president recently has said a few weeks ago that President Donald Trump talks too much. And that is pretty true. And every time you open his mouth, the gas prices or the oil and stuff goes back up. So again, gas prices is going down a little bit for a lot of states, seeing some relief. But I'm pretty sure once the ceasefire ends, the United States might continue. First of all, the ceasefire might get extended. Who knows? Or the U.S. and Iran continues to attack. So maybe this is just the ceasefire is just for the United States to build back up, regroup, and potentially for Iran to regroup before the war resumes. But who knows? The war could potentially end. Now, we know President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance been having issues with the Pope as well. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the United States, which we really need to watch out for, especially as we get into more of the tourist season. People are going to be traveling outside of the country. People are going to be coming inside of the country, especially as viruses and stuff are going around. You don't know what these countries is cooking up for the United States, but we can potentially see terrorist attacks. We still remain high for seeing terrorist attacks here across the United States. There has been attacks within the past few months. There was one in Virginia. There was one, I believe it was Michigan, where a guy drove his truck down a hallway, I think of a university or something like that. And when they got the driver, he's no longer with us, unfortunately. But there was explosives in the back of his vehicle. Now, when Trump first took office, or shortly before or after, there was also an attack back in 2025. I think it was 2025 on New Orleans. The driver was apparently, well, the suspect was apparently inspired by ISIS. So it's just a lot of stuff going on in the world. So let's go ahead and get into this article about the U.S. The U.S. President Donald Trump announcing a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Let's get into it. So this article is being reported by CNN. Multiple other sources also have this, including the New York Times. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this article. Again, this is being reported by CNN. It was updated at 4:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, April 16, 2026, and it's currently 4:58 as I'm about to read this article p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, April 16, 2026. So it says Trump announced a ceasefire in Lebanon and voices confidence an Iran deal will follow. A pause in hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah and Iran-backed prior military group in Lebanon could help pave the way to a peace deal with Tehran. Now, Tehran, if I'm not mistaken, is the capital of Iran. So let's go ahead and get into this article. Ceasefire deal. U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 10-day ceasefire in Lebanon that will pause fighting between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is in 1 minute now, because it is officially 4:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, April 16, 2026, and it's supposed to go in effect, I guess, at 5 p.m. today. So we got 1 minute. So as I'm reading this article, the ceasefire will go into effect. And as you guys watch this video, the ceasefire will be in effect. Now, who's going to break the ceasefire? Will it be Israel? Will it be Lebanon? We don't know if if one of the countries is going to. Maybe Lebanon going to find a reason to attack Israel for some reason, or will Israel find a reason why they need to attack Lebanon? Now, the ceasefire between the United States and Iran been holding up so far. There have been recent deals trying to be made against the U.S. and Iran, which felt the first time President Donald Trump allegedly was thinking about doing limited strikes since the deals fell. But apparently there's supposed to be new rounds of talks this week, so let's see how that goes. Will there be a deal met? Probably not, because President Donald Trump said a few weeks ago he don't see why we need to negotiate with Iran when we're literally obliterating the other side. And Iran already didn't want a ceasefire, but Pakistan had to come and try to save the day and make a ceasefire. And it's currently 5 o'clock p.m. Thursday, April 16, 2026, and the ceasefire now between the United States and Lebanon is in effect. The two sides exchanged fire in the hours leading up to tenuous truce. Flurry of diplomacy. Trump said a White House meeting between Israel and Lebanon could take place within 2 weeks. The conflict with Hezbollah has been a key sticking point in negotiations on the U.S.-Iran war. Trump voiced confidence Thursday that a deal with Tehran will come soon, saying another round of talks could take place this weekend. So it was supposed to be this week. Now it's this weekend. Will we go to talks or not? U.S. military activity. U.S. officials said troops in the Middle East are rearming and stand ready to resume combat if Iran negotiations fail. The U.S. is maintaining a naval blockade in the region. Now, most likely the United States and Iran would not come up with a deal. Didn't come up with it the first time, but might come up with one the second time. But again, both countries want two different things from each other. Kind of similar to the situation going on in the Middle East between not the United States, in Europe, excuse me, with Russia and Ukraine. There's supposed to be ceasefires made between those two countries. But every time Russia has to find a way why they need to attack Ukraine, and sometimes Ukraine has to attack Russia for whatever reason. And every time there's supposed to be peace deals made between those two countries, there's never been a peace deal made. Again, this war was supposed to be done within 24 hours of President Donald Trump taking place in office, and this is still going on. And this war been going on since February of 2022. So Ukraine been staying strong. They've been trying to help the United States out, even though we turned our back on them, on sending aid to them to help them, and basically leaving it up to Europe. So with that being said, this was updated 8 minutes ago. The Israel-Lebanon ceasefire is about to take effect. Here's what to know. Oh, there's actually a video right here. I'm not going to play that so I don't get copyrighted. Yeah, guys, I don't want to get copyrighted, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You guys can check that video out if you guys want. Maybe swipe this notification away. Check it out. It's on CNN. Again, multiple other sources also have the articles of President Donald Trump announcing a ceasefire today. It is currently 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, April 16, 2026. So the ceasefire should be in effect as of now between Lebanon and Israel. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button to be notified each and every time you upload a new video. And I will see you guys in the next one if you guys will. Let's just see if this ceasefire holds between Israel and Lebanon, or if somebody's going to find a reason why they need to attack another. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one if you guys will. Stay safe out there and stay vigilant.